Hello and welcome to the next lecture. Today we're going to speak a little bit about DynamoDB and how to use it with Quarkus. So nothing special, nothing hard. So there is a AWS always free DynamoDB that you can use. So it's there. So you can have a 25 gigabytes of storage. So you can just sign up for the AWS. That's not an ad. So just feel free. There is an option to use the local DynamoDB instance for debugging, but yeah, you need to know the AWS. That's a good thing. So we'll start with the remote one with the free from the free tier. So you actually don't need to specify anything here. So the only thing that I couldn't show you is the AIM management. So you'll just need to call AWS configure and you need to follow this setup. I'll send the link how to set up the credentials, how to get the credentials. It's super easy. You create a user, give them access to the DynamoDB, get the key value and call this AWS configure, and then you specify one region. So we won't do that, but what we're gonna do instead is let's create a project, right? So let's start with the project. So again, Quarkus Backend plugin, create text.now DynamoDB book resource books, and then we have REST-easy JSONB, DynamoDB itself, and then REST-easy Mutiny. Mutiny is a, let's say, reactive library like RxJava or something like this. So you have the extensions for it as well here. So yeah, let's create a project. It should called DynamoDB. It will load some data, and you have 3 extensions, right? So let's go to the DynamoDB. All right, so we have everything ready. Let's go to the resources and let's set up our AWS. So for this, you need to have 3 lines of code, 2 lines of code, which is region and credentials type. So as I said, you need to load the AWS command line interface and set it up before you can use it. So you'll have the AWS available on your machine. It will take the credentials from there, and the region is like default one which you can use. So mine will be US East 2. So let's create a table as well. So let's go to the terminal, and I have here prepared line here. So you can see that we create a table name books, attribute definitions, title type which is string, then key will be title hash, and then capacity, read and write capacity. So let's create. You can see that we have table description here. So what created, table status creating, but it will be created in a second. And you can see location of the table is DynamoDB US East 2. Okay, if you go to the AWS console and you specify the correct US East 2 here, you will see that we have, if you go to tables, you can see that there is a books, partition key title string, and yeah, so we have this table. It's empty for now, yeah, so let's continue to code itself, right? So let's create a book class, right? Firstly, let's create an empty book service, right? Book, so here we'll create 2 fields called title, book title column, like this, title, and then also let's give it pages or something like this, right? Like this. So we'll have 2 fields that we'll use later in our data class. Okay, now let's create the data class. So we have data book like this, and here we'll have, as always, public string title and private integer pages, right? So nothing special. Let's create an empty constructor. Let's create full constructor, and let's create a getters and setters for this thing. One more thing that we'll add is a final is a static method, public static book from, and we'll have a map here which will convert from string to attribute value, which is DynamoDB model map or attributes, whatever. So here we'll need to create a new book, of course, right? And so what we want to do is that we want to so for title we want to get attributes get so there we get name, which is in book service, so it will be title, right? And then you could put so this is string, so you put the s here. And for the pages, you can get attributes get book service pages here. So here we need to specify n, which is number, but because we can't use a string, the DynamoDB uses a string somehow. We'll need to parse it into the integer parse int like this, right? So this is our from method, right? We'll return the book itself, of course. So this will be used to parse from DynamoDB to book. So not of course a mapping here, but still usable, right? So yeah, let's go back to the service itself, and we'll make it application scoped actually. Let's create a few methods here. So let's create a scan request, public scan request scan, and here we'll create a return scan request builder. So here we'll need to specify column table name, which will be in our case public static. Let's create another one. So the table name will be books, right? So we have a books here. Oops, books table like this. So books table here, and then attributes to get will have a book title and then book pages like this. So we query the pages itself here. So this will be a scan request. We can actually put it like this. So now next thing that we're gonna do is a get request, get item request. And here we'll need to have a name which will be more like a key. So name of the entry. Let's create a new map, new hash map, for example, string and then attribute value like this. So this will be an let's say item, right? So it's more like a single entity, and you need to put item put, so that you need to specify key. So you want to specify here a book title column, and the second value will be you need to create the attribute value builder, and then name, which will be actually name like this. So you specify that it's a string, and you build the builder itself, right? So this structure basically specifies what you query. So basically it's a mirror of the object in a DynamoDB. So you specify which values you want to, by which values you want to query. So in our case we query by the title, and then the value of the title should be this one, right? Everything else is super easy. So you need to create get item request builder again, and this is similar. So you need to specify table name, of course, books table, right? Then you want to specify a key, which is what you want to query, right? So this time it will be item, and attributes to get, it's basically the same thing that you've specified previously. So we'll just copy it over here. So yeah, so this is our get item request, and let's create the last put request, right? Put item item request, and put item request. And here you need to specify a book itself, like this, right? So again, you create an item like we created before, and then you just put all the fields that you want to put. So we put a title here, so attribute value builder, so this will be a string, and we put a book get title here, and similar stuff goes with the second entry, which will be book pages here. So instead of s, we put an n here, and book get pages to string. So we'll do it like this. And the next thing, of course, is to create, of course, the put item request builder, of course. And here you specify the same thing. You specify table name, books table. You specify a key item here, which is item, and that's it. So you just build it, right? So we have the let's say body of the book service. This will be a helpful methods, so we'll put them a little bit lower here. So we actually will make them as private because we don't use them outside. So we need to inject one field actually, which is the DynamoDB itself, DB client. So, and now we can create finally the methods. So let's create a list of let's use a void add a book. Okay, so we'll create a book itself here. Let's call the put item request, right, book, and the client put item. So we created the request. So you can see the idea how it works, right? So you have a client and you do the actions, which is so you create the requests, you prepare the request, and then you put it inside of the some method, right, from the DynamoDB client. So in this case we use a put item request book, and so we don't need to return anything, right? So next one will be the list of books, right? Find all. Yeah, let's get the list client. So this one a little bit different, so you need to specify a scan paginator, or you can use a scan as well. Here you'll get a scan request, right? So now you can do the items itself and and stream. So basically what you can see is that a stream is instance of map of string and attribute. And we have a magic method in a book folder. So what we will do is that we will map it to our book from static method and collect, let's collect it back to list, right? So yeah, and return it, of course. So this is again super easy. You just need to remember how to do it. So you create a scan, you put a scan request inside, and then you get the items with the stream, map them to the book, and collect. That's it. And of course we need to get the final one, which is a put. Actually not a put, I get a single book, which is get like this, and then you put a string title, right? And with this one, this is again super easy. You call the get item request, so you just call the client get item request with the title like this, and inside you'll have an item here which you can convert to the book. So we can do it like maybe like this, book from. So yeah, that's it. You can use it in the book resource, and let's actually do it right now. So let's go to the book resource. All right, let's inject one field. So we have an inject, inject, and this will be public. This will be a book service, right? Like this. And so let's create the firstly post for our method, which will produce media type application JSON, so for everything, and public. So won't return any. Let's return back the book itself back. Add the book like this, right? Book. So we'll have a body will be a book, and we can call a book service, and we can call the add a book itself, right? Like this, and return the book back. So let's check if it's working. So we are in a DynamoDB folder of our project. Let's call maven Quarkus dev like this, and let's see how it will behave. All right, so one more thing that we need to add to our application property, to our POM.xml is one dependency for the synchronous client. So sadly, or not sadly, for if you want to use a synchronous client, which we are doing right now, you need to have one more extension for the URL, which I have probably here. Yeah, so I have this dependency here. We can just put it somewhere nearby the DynamoDB or whatever you want, as long as it's in dependencies. So you want to put it somewhere where you have the dependencies itself, just put it below the DynamoDB. Let's import the changes, and yeah, so it should work. Yeah, so yeah, you can see that it's binned as well. So now we can start our DynamoDB project, maven Quarkus dev. Yeah, so it shouldn't show anything. Yeah, so you can see that no issues arrived. We have the CDI, DynamoDB, Mutiny, REST Easy JSONB, and REST Easy Mutiny itself. So let's go back to IntelliJ IDEA, and yeah, let's check if it's working. I'll open a Postman, and while we're at it, let's implement get as well, I think. So we want to get a list of book, and the return will be book service find all. So that's it, right? And all right, beware that the books table should be exactly as in the DynamoDB. So I created the books with the uppercase B, which should be here as well. So now it should work. Yeah, I have an error. So yeah, let's restart or start the first time Quarkus dev. So yeah, you see that it started. Okay, and let's go to the Postman, and let's create our first book called test 400, and you can see that it's returned back our own key here. But if we go to the get, you will see that we have these pages 400, so we can create more of them if needed. So test 2, test 2.3, test 2.3.4. We go to get, and we get all of them as well. So we can also implement the get name if you so it's super fast, super easy. Let's do it as well because we have it. So let's call the get with the path like this, name. So public book, get book with a string name, and it will be a path param name, like this, right? So now we just call the return book service get and name. So it should be actually be title, I think, right? So we misused it to the title, so let's make it like this. So this is super, again, easy. You just call the books, and then you call the test 2, for example, and we get it back. So yeah, let's actually start a local environment. So now we only need to you need to run a Docker on the 8000 port. So let's create Docker. So let's start the Docker itself. The link will be in the description, so you can see that it started with a local with following configuration, and you can see that we have here. So now you need to go to localhost 8000/shell, And here you'll have shell, of course. So you have a DynamoDB shell, and you create a parameter. So you specify a table name, key schema. So we have a title type hash, and then attribute name title, attribute type string, and then the default value. So that's the same thing that we specified, only without the JavaScript, right? So we use JavaScript instead of the command line, and the output is the same. So we created the the same stuff that we had previously, so the only difference is that we'll need to specify more application properties. So instead of what we had for the AWS, we need to override endpoint to the localhost 8000. Then your region will be like your central one, credentials type static, and then you put the access key, test key, and then access key ID, test key, and then secret will be secret, test secret, right? So so yeah, now it's ready for testing. Let's go to our terminal, and so keep the DynamoDB running. So you need to have a Docker, of course, running as well. So let's restart our Quarkus, and you will see that it started okay. Then there shouldn't be any issues. So let's create one book with books, and you see that it's working as well, and you can get it as well. So yeah, and again with the AWS, you can go to the books. You can refresh it, and you can see that you can go actually to items, so you can see that you have all the books here with all the information. You can see the number 400 and then string test. So yeah, that's it. Now you know how to use DynamoDB with Quarkus, and you can see it's super easy. It's not super easy like with Spanish. You'll need to encode and decode the book itself with the from and to. But it's still doable, and for some of the types of data, it will be usable as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.